Now we move on to the more interesting kind, which are the and, the or, and that's pretty much it. So basically, to understand the idea of ands and ors, we need to assume that false is equal to 0 and true is equal to 1. With that being said, we can assume that the and is multiplication and the or is addition. So if we said true and false, we're basically saying 1 times 0, which would give us 0, right? So it would be false, basically. If we say false or false, we're basically doing 1, 0 plus 0, which is 0 as well. So that's false too. If we did true or false, what we're doing here is 1 plus 0, and the result is 1, so it's true. If we did true or true, if we have at least 1, 1, if either of these two is equal to 1, we would just say that the result would be 1, which is true. Now, for the and to be true, all sides should be true. So true and true would be 1 times 1, which is 1. So that would be true. To prove that what we're assuming up there is correct, we would simply just try system.out.println. Then we would do true and false, true and true. And finally, so as we explained up here, false and false would be 0 times 0, which is 0, which is false. This would also be false because we have a 0 in there. This would be true, so false, true. Then we have the or. This would be false because 0 plus 0 is 0, which is false. 1 plus 0 is 1, so true. 1 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 1. Although that's counterintuitive, but that's how the analogy that we're following works. So this would also be true. Let's run the code and verify our assumptions. But before that, we would need to comment these out. Okay, so as we can see here, it's false, false, true, false, true, true, false, false, true, false, true, true. So that was it for Boolean expressions. Now, as we explained here, instead of this, we can replace it with something like this. And 5 is greater than 3. It would be true, basically, because this one is true, this one is true, so the result would be true. We can also do one more thing, which is using the not operator. So basically, when we say, let's comment out this one for now. When we say system.out.println not false, this would give us true, because we're basically reversing the value. And this only works with booleans, because we only have 2 values. If we said not true, this would result in printing false. So in this case, with that in mind, let's try to do this and add a not at the beginning. Running that would give us false, because this is true and this is a not, so this whole thing became false. When we use and, while this being true, we're doing false and true, so it would basically result in having the final answer being false. And that's basically the effect of the not operator on Boolean expressions. That was all for the boring stuff. Now we can finally move on to the more interesting things.